And again, answering are the Eagles.
Cato now for three. That's two in a row for the freshman. The steal, the spin, behind the back, splitting the double team. Elliott! Oh! Ryan Thomas with a jam. Baxter with authority for his first points of the night. That could be an SC top 10.
What's going on, guys? This is Elliott, joined by Russell. Dawson and Brian are out. I was going to say trick-or-treating, but it's the wrong holiday.
Maybe they are trick-or-treating.
They're probably stuffing some stockings, is what they're doing.
They are a bunch of stocking stuffers, aren't they?
Glad to be back. It's been a while. Been real busy with the holidays. Everyone's busy with work and all kinds of shenanigans. We wish you and yours a very
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year.
Kwanzaa. Happy Christmas, Mahana Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa Samuels.
See what I did there? All right, we're pretty lame. So let's jump into what we left off with, which I think was the South Dakota State. We had a long hiatus for a little bit, right?
Yeah, we did. South Dakota State came and went in the night. There's
trying to forget that one already.
Right. I just realized it was only 5 days ago. It feels like it was 2 weeks because I wanted to forget that game like before it ended. It was one of those couple times throughout the season there's been a right off the bat in the game it just looks bad and there was no chance very early on. It was just one of those games it looked like we had never played together. Those kind of things.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much turnovers this game. It just was not good. It was just
bad shots, bad ball movement.
Lack of rebounds.
Fouls were killing us. Yeah, lack of rebounds. You can say that 14 more times. Or 27. That's how many rebounds we got.
I think we all can agree that the shining moment of this game was Mr. Brian Thomas making his anticipated return.
Much anticipated.
In the blue and green. He had limited minutes, but it was still good to see him. And
yeah, any bit before conference play that he gets to play is a huge blessing.
Mm-hmm. And also, Cyrus Largy coming through with 9 points. I think that was his career high thus far. Definitely
career high, and the most minutes he's played in a game, too. I think it was 20-something.
23.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's... we talked... we'll get into a little bit of this later, but, Coach Fly has now said... It's unexpected that he got all these minutes. Did you expect him to get any minutes?
No, he's a walk-on.
Exactly, and we're accustomed to, in the past 6+ years for walk-ons getting those end of the game minutes. Think Dolan Mahoney, think Max Bleacher, legends like that. So to have Largy play so early on and so much, and over 20 minutes, that's a rotation guy. That's not a walk-on.
Well, that was, I think that's the only time he's breached that 20-minute.
Yeah, definitely.
But he is proving to be a distributor. Still needs to work on some turnovers, but his vision has been pretty impressive from what I've noticed. He's been able to drive and kick it out pretty well, and almost be like a slasher.
Yeah, slasher, energy guy, dive for everything, that kind of mentality.
Mm-hmm. What else do you see from that game against the Jackrabbits? It's another tough loss, but were there any positives? It was a 20 or 19-point loss.
Yeah, not really. Cato's been, Mr. Consistency.
It was really disappointing because we were expecting, long break. Let's go to South Dakota State. We've done well.
A lot of scouting.
We've done well against them in the past.
Yeah, but we've been very good in the past, though.
I know, but it was just last year that we beat them.
Yeah, you're right. We've gone over this too. Even last year's team was so different than now. But still, it's...
But we had a week and a half off.
Exactly. You're expecting at least a competitive game. Maybe as a fan, you obviously want to win every game, and so do the players, of course. But you at least expect, a tough game. Maybe they pull away at some point and win by double digits, and that's fine as long as you look good in the process for now. But that just didn't happen. What looked good in that game? Like I was saying a little bit, is Cato's been, the consistent force, really the only consistent force all season. Again, he had 13 points, a couple of rebounds, a couple of assists, shot the ball from 3 pretty well. like he usually does. Just, everything, a little bit of everything for him.
Yeah, and Zach Scott had a down night. I think he was still trying to get out of that slump he was in from the last few games.
Almost season long for the shooting. And we know he's a good shooter.
He's just been, forced to try a little,
Yeah.
basically forced to put up certain shots.
Right.
And that comes with some of the offense problems we've been having where we're running the play or whatever play we're trying to run, and then it's 2 seconds on the clock, and you're forced to throw up a...
Yeah, hurry up, give it to Zach Scott. And then he has to...
Or Cato.
Right, and then they have to throw up some trash
Brick.
shot, and doink. So really the only other thing that I think is worth noting, Justice Rainwater had another, solid game. 12 points. I think that matches a high this season for him. And 7 rebounds. In a game where we only got 27 rebounds, he got over a fourth of them by himself. So, it's rare that he gets less than 5 a night. And so I'm hoping that, now we having Brian Thomas back and getting more minutes every game. Hopefully that injury bug stays away the rest of the season and we can start getting more boards, because that's, among other things, that's one of our biggest, issues this season is really getting rebounds, preventing those second chance points from the other team.
Keep in mind, we went into this game, without having Gagliardi. He got beat up in the...
Busted
What
up.
was the last game at home?
That was Robert Morris.
Robert Morris.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, elbow to the eye, or...
And shout out to him for going hard the whole time, the whole game. We were losing. There was a chance we could have won that game, and that's, of course, why he's going 100 miles an hour. But he collided with somebody's, side, shoulder, knee, something.
I think it was elbow.
Yeah, maybe. And right to, underneath his eye, blood on the floor. And he was definitely visibly shaken up from that.
We didn't hear any of the details. I think he went through a concussion protocol.
It just looked like it. Nobody said that. But, the fact he couldn't walk off the court by himself, he just looked wobbly. It looked concussion-y, if I had to say anything. And he hasn't played the last 2 games. So hopefully we get him back soon, and well wishes to him.
And then moving on to the most recent game at home, we played St. Thomas, which is a fellow NAIA squad. Came out with the W. It's a pretty solid game all around. Our offense was looking a little bit better, clicking, flowing. Before I forget, we were just talking about Gags being out, but Malik Hardy didn't play this game either.
No, and after the game, Coach said he's just kind of a little bit of a re-aggravation there. I guess he wasn't practicing before either. It was kind of a situation where I'm healthy, maybe 80%. This is just me putting a number on there, not any intel or anything, but I'm 80%. I can give it that much in a game, but if I practice, that increases my likelihood that I get hurt again, and something like that. But without Sam Gagliardi, without Malik Hardy, and that was a rhyme.
Well, we all know Gags will be back at some point.
Yeah, that wasn't like a bone structure.
Do you think
issue.
this Malik Hardy thing can be a recurring thing that we got to monitor and kind of be?
I would say it's almost obvious that it's going to be a season-long thing. And that may be the case for Brian Thomas too.
No, don't even say something like that.
Well, even if he plays, even if Malik comes back and plays the next game, it's between those two and Tracy Hector. It kind of just seems like whatever they're dealing with is just something that needs some time.
Fragile.
Right. Well, not necessarily fragile. This season needs some time, but you have games that you need to play, and they want to play that they can help in. So So
I guess we really just have to pray for no more injuries.
Oh, yes. Yes, we do.
Because if we have any of them guys or anyone else get hurt, those guys are going to have to step up, and if they're kind of dealing with a past aggravated whatever, it's going to be hard to keep them going. But let's talk about St. Thomas. There was a lot of positives. As we mentioned, it was a 22-point victory. It should have been probably 30.
Yeah, let's talk reality, and that's a 30-plus point victory. I saw some things on, social media. People say what they want to say. People have their own opinions and whatnot, just like you and me. But there was some points that were made about them scoring more than us in the second half in a blowout, and I'm like, that's not a valid point. Because if you even watched a second of that second half, then you knew that we had built the lead up to almost 40. I think it was 37 at one point, in the second half with under 10 minutes to go. And what do you expect? A coach to keep playing the starters that are in theory going to make us competitive in conference play and risk injury when it's not necessary, or you think he's going to put in youth? And even when putting in youth, we saw some maybe lineups that might be our future coming up with Kwanzi in and Dakota in at the same time as the bigs, with Jalen Harper at the point, all three of our freshmen in, with Largy and other freshmen walk on, like we've been saying, getting more minutes. He was in, and things like that. Like that's looking at the future right there. That's amazing that you get an opportunity in non-conference play to see all those guys out who might be fantastic for you in 1 to 2 years' time, and as your primary starters. And then of course in the last minute or so we put the scout team on, which is always great to see because that means you're dominating and it means they get a chance to show what they got. And that's great and all, but we gave up I think 7 points in the last minute while they were in, so that's obviously very skewed in the score. But enough of that. Enough of my tangent. It was amazing. I don't care who it's against, St. Thomas or Duke. It's amazing to see your team win and dominate. And I'm not gonna let the fact that it's against an NAIA team take away from my happiness that we dominated, because it's great to see the guys that you root for succeed.
No, of course not. And like you said, minus the last few minutes, whatever it was, the turnover game was good.
Right, it finished good, 14 so far. It's average.
Well, it should have been 10.
Right,
there was
exactly.
probably 4 garbage turnovers that were kind of
them playing because they're angry,
yeah,
and then us kind of relaxing.
The most impressive thing of this game that I thought was definitely the 21 assists we had. That was season high.
Yeah, so only 14 turnovers at the end of the day, and if you do take off those 4-ish or whatever, yeah, that's a 2-to-1 ratio, give or take. That's what you shoot for.
21 assists. St. Thomas had 5 the entire game. So we were playing stifling defense and preventing them from getting any sort of rhythm going. Tracy Hector, he was sort of flirting with a triple-double.
He was flirting with a triple-double. Yeah, if that makes sense.
He sent one winky face.
Yeah.
But nothing more.
Right. But to be specific, 6 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and that's kind of what we've seen from him so far. He's not gonna have a 20-point night. I don't think either of us expect that, or he maybe even expects that. But he might get close to 10 rebounds. He might get close to 10 points. Might get close to 10 assists.
The assists is very impressive.
Exactly, 7 of them, and the passes that they weren't just ooh, look, an open guy. They were he could see, he could know look. It was it was skilled passing and smart from him.
He also seemed to have he looked the most peppiest.
Yeah, he was light on his feet.
He was moving.
Mm-hmm. He was geared up. I always feel like he's Draymond Green. I know that's we're not gonna get into player comps or anything like that, NBA comparisons, but he's the do it all. You never know what stat he's gonna get a lot of in a game. Whether it's maybe 10 assists and he doesn't score any points, or 10 rebounds and he doesn't do much else, but he's just useful in some area every game.
And then, of course, you had the tried and true tandem of Zach Scott and Caleb Cato, and then also combined with Jalen Warren for a stellar performance off the bench. They all had over 50 points. Or it might have been 50 points.
Let's see. 30,
well,
41. It's exactly 50 points.
I'm reading a tweet that says 50 points.
Well, math. Simple dumb guy math.
It's cooler if I say 50 plus points.
Yeah.
Or plus or minus.
Plus or minus 50 points.
Greater than or equal to 50 points.
Hey, we don't need to get into math.
But anyways, Jalen Warren probably had, for minutes and overall play, the best game.
His plus or minus efficiency was plus 36, I believe. It might have been 37, but that's fantastic. It was the best on the team. When he was in the game, we were dominating basically. Yep. And I'd like to go back and kind of check these stats sometimes. I'm not going to do it right now, but it seems like when he plays well, we win the game. The other game that stands out to me, obviously.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
FAU.
Right. But I mean, when he's leading the team.
33 or 67% of our wins, he's played really well.
You're exactly right. And I don't recall how he played against Florida Tech, but I'm sure it wasn't too bad. But anyways.
So Jalen Warren, if you're listening, just, go full Black
Yeah,
Mamba every night.
Go at it. Make that shot fall. But yeah, you mentioned Zach Scott, and it was fantastic to see the ball go in the net for him. Because even, I know they're bad shots we've been talking about a lot that he's forced to be taking, but it seems like through large parts of the season, there's just a lid on it for him. And, I trust that guy to make a shot. He's a great shooter. And he is, bottom line. And so when he finally gets an open shot and it's still not going in, that's unfortunate. And so he was 4 of 6 from 3 against St. Thomas. And, again, dumb guy math says about 67%. So, it's great to see him shoot the ball well, finish with 19 points, 5 rebounds. And, yeah.
So all in all, it was a good win. Good win.
Brandon.
It's tough because a lot of the students were gone. It's Christmas time. You have a dwindling crowd, Christmas time. But there's still 2,000 plus people there.
Yeah.
Decent environment. It was just refreshing and much needed to get that W, especially looking forward to December 29th when we travel to
all the way to
the left
West
coast. Left coast, West Coast.
Left coast?
Yeah, I've heard it called left coast before.
Well, I don't want to hear that.
I'm about it.
Okay.
Anyways, USC. Of course, Andy Enfield, longtime mentor of Michael Fly and previous head coach. They get to duel now. Michael Fly takes his young team over to USC, and I'm not sure if USC's record. Can you give us a update?
USC is fantastic this year.
Oh,
That's
great.
Yeah, isn't it? They're 10-2.
Okay, and they got the number 1 player.
Yeah.
Is it next year?
They have the number 1 recruit in the nation coming into the program next year.
They're stacked this year too.
They have some damn good players this year, and we'll get into that a little bit more in the preview article that'll come out within a week or so. Obviously before the game, but also right now they now again, forgive me this pronunciation, but Onyeka Okongwu seems to be their best player. He is averaging about 18 points a game, 9 rebounds a game, and over 3 blocks per game. So yeah, he's 6'9", 245 pounds. Want to know what academic class he's in?
The University of Shredded Beef.
Well, yeah, but I meant year.
Oh.
He's a freshman.
Wow.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to be a Power 5 school? Except at the same time, as a fan, I would hate having one and dones. Because he's probably a one and done. You can't, in USC's conference, you can't average 18 points a game, 9 rebounds, and 3 blocks a game as a freshman and not go in the first round.
But if you have one and dones every year like Duke, Michigan State, whoever.
Kentucky is the main.
That means you're going to be good every year. So
of course. That's...
You just can't get attached to your one and dones.
Right. Which, I don't think it cheapens your success, but you also don't see those teams winning championships.
Nah, but it's hard to win a championship.
Right.
They'll go deep. They'll make the tournament every year.
I'm always going to root for Gonzaga in the tournament because they do it the fun way as a fan. They're also a mid-major technically, but they're number 1 in the nation right now. Of course.
Underdogs till we die.
Right, but their players are guys who've been in the program 3-4 years, and that's what makes it fun to watch. Guys that grow with the team, and that's really what Fly's trying to establish here at FGCU. Guys who play all 4 years, guys who learn from past members of the program and continue the legacy. But actually, this guy Okongwu looks like he may have been teammates with some of the Ball brothers. Chino Hills High School. Is right.
So yeah, something to note, USC hasn't beat anybody crazy. No one has been ranked that they've beat, if I'm looking at this right. They did play South Dakota State, speaking of the Jackrabbits, and beat them by 18, nearly 20.
Considerable margin.
Yep, considerable win. But yeah, they haven't played any real powerhouses. I'm looking at their past schedule now, and
the Villanova game was an exhibition.
Temple, Marquette. There's no TCU.
Yeah, they lost to Marquette, too.
LSU has been the biggest named school, arguably, that they played.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they lost to Marquette considerably, 22 points.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be very wrong, but I haven't heard of Marquette as being like one of the better teams in the nation this year. But if I'm ridiculously wrong, you can take that out of this podcast.
So once USC gets to conference play, they'll be dealing with some big boys over there.
Oh,
the
UCLA.
Pac-12. UCLA,
Cal.
number 21, Washington, number 6, Oregon.
Yeah.
Number 24, Arizona. So they got their hands full come conference play, but regardless, they still got great players, and it's going to be it'll be a challenge.
It'll be a huge challenge.
I don't think we're going to win, just to be frank.
No. I mean, it'd be...
Again, we're looking for improvements.
Right. I just want to see a decent game. I don't want to see us score 50 points. I don't want to see us score under 50 points again.
All I'm hoping for in a game like this where we're outmatched, talent,
obviously,
maybe size, I'm not sure.
Definitely. I mean, we don't have a 6'9", 245 guy. Not even Brian Thomas anymore.
The height-wise, they're probably not too much taller.
No, I don't. That's not really what kind of players Enfield wants.
But anyways, all I'm hoping for that I'd be happy with as far as an improvement is limit the turnovers again. If you can do that, it shows that the IQ
realistically, if you get about 15, honestly, like I'd be okay with that because that means the game was semi-clean. 15 or less, ideally. Yeah. Score 60-plus points, 70-ish. Look decent on defense, good ball rotation.
We've only scored 70-plus in maybe
2 games,
3
games, yeah.
I think UMBC we got there, Florida Tech, and then obviously St. Thomas.
And Florida Tech.
I said that.
You said that. I thought you said FAU. Anyways, just a good, decently clean game. That's all you can really expect. It'll be, I mean, it's not, if we were a better team record-wise as well, it would be a bigger story. Like, can Michael Fly upset, his mentor? And they really do have a good relationship, it seems. And, the pressers and whatnot, when asked about, going to play Coach Enfield, Coach Fly has been very, very complimentary of him. He, advocated for the hiring of Coach Fly here at FGCU. He was with us for only 2 years, unfortunately, but those were at least one of the most exciting years that we had.
I might be about to say an outlandish statement, but didn't both of them come from Florida State?
Yep.
Okay. I was right.
What was it? Hamilton. Coach Hamilton, I think it was, at Florida State.
Yep.
Enfield was his lead assistant. Fly was a video coordinator, I think.
That's right.
So Fly and him have a very good relationship, brought him over to FGCU and, to kind of groom him and Marty Richter at the time as that, heir apparent.
Now, say we win. let's just dream.
Don't just drop that in there. You got to prep me for that. That's a big if.
No, let's just dream for a minute.
Okay, let's dream.
Imagine the headlines. What would it be?
A lot of disbelief.
Dunk City Junior, dunks all over, Dunk City Mayor, Dunk City, Dunk City, Dunk City. Dunk City. That's probably what it would be. Sports Center is going to be like,
oh, yeah.
And former Dunk City.
It's the Battle of the Dunk Cities here tonight. We know nothing about FGCU.
And there were no dunks tonight, but Dunk City.
Yeah, something like that. But, so say if we want to, go wild and say we upset them, how much would that change your outlook on the season? How much? How?
It depends. If USC plays terrible and we win on a buzzer beater.
Well, that's great too because that means we made them play terrible.
Somewhat.
I mean, even if they're turning the ball over a bunch, guess who's getting the steals?
In this scenario, if they
missing open shots,
if they shot 8%
and it wasn't great defense,
8% and it was just trash.
I say, you still got to.
I'd still be happy about it, but I don't think it. I think I'd have to see another win, like you were saying to me off mic. We'd go into Liberty fully confident if you were to upset USC. You'd have all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick us against Liberty.
No, but you would go in with a lot more.
Exactly. I don't know how you, as a player, if something crazy like that happened, beating USC of all teams, that you couldn't be juiced the hell up for a long time, for the next month about that. And
Unless you lost by 35 to Liberty, but
right. Well, that might offset everything. But even if you were to lose to Liberty, if you played within 10 points, say an 8-point loss, something like that, you'd carry all that momentum from the USC win into all the rest of the games.
it'd be huge.
Yeah.
At this point, we have 2 wins over non-D1 schools and 1 come from behind buzzer beater
Against the D1 team, yeah.
You might argue it's lucky win against FAU.
Right.
Nah, it's not lucky. We
It's
came
not,
back
because we would have went
back
into
from 19.
we would have went into overtime even if we didn't score.
I'd take that back.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
But yeah, USC. I don't know. We'll see what Santa brings.
It's after Christmas.
Do you think we need new shoes, or like the players need new shoes? Maybe Santa can bring some of the latest kicks.
Well, Dakota Rivers.
We saw that shoe change.
If you ever
saw
listen to this, Elliott really doesn't like your pink shoes.
It's not that I don't like them. I just don't like them.
I don't mind them. I just want you to play well.
We saw you make the switch.
Yeah,
and
you wore some shoes. I don't know if you got blisters or something, because you changed those before halftime.
Plantar fasciitis.
Yeah, plantar fasciitis. I've struggled with that, bud. I mean, you maybe too. I don't know. But yeah, you changed them to some kind. I think it was neon greens or something. It was like kind of FGCU green, but a little bit more flashy, and took them right back off and put those old faithful pinks on.
You know what we're missing is the slides.
Oh yeah,
The Nike slides.
So in case nobody has noticed, on the TV
Nobody's
broadcast,
ever going to know this because our minds are
right. We have some up minds. Anyways, yeah, we think kind of abstractly. So if you care to notice in the future, sometimes on a TV broadcast, the players are obviously moving so fast, and it sort of looks like players are wearing slides, like Nike flip flops with the socks on.
They're wearing black socks with like that, or maybe it's the opposite. No, it's black socks with
Don't
a white.
matter, just with slides, flip flops,
like Cedric Casimir.
Yeah, he was the
King of the
last
slides.
guy, the last guy to wear slides. It looked like his shoes were slides from the TV.
He just looked like he didn't give a fuck. He'd be walking, then start running down the lane with his sandals.
Right,
And
popping threes, shooting like 60% from three.
hey, no laces to trip on. I get it.
Right.
Supreme grip.
Supreme.
And then after our battle at USC, 2020 comes in. Second day of 2020, we take on the Flames.
That's burning.
That's hot.
Yeah.
In Alico Arena.
At Alico.
I don't know if I'm going to make it. I got to work in Tampa all day.
I'm definitely going to make it.
I know you are.
I'm pretty sure I'm not working that whole week.
Well, that's great. Some of us aren't as privileged.
I wouldn't call myself privileged. I'm going to be working just sort of remotely.
Isn't that like the future?
Yeah, I guess. Big brothers, big sisters, where the future happens.
Plug. But yeah, I'm not ready to talk about Liberty yet. We'll probably, unless you are.
No, not really. I
I
mean,
just know they're
fantastic, is what they are, and everybody knows that. It's gonna be a rough game, but I'd like to wait to see how we perform against USC, to see how I feel going into a game against Liberty.
So with Liberty coming up, starting conference, new year. Well, new calendar year. Second half of the season, it's almost a new year. Strictly conference play. Everything changes. Based on what you've seen so far, what players need to shine or step up in order for us to have? I'm hopeful for a 500 conference. That'd be great.
So I agree, but real quick, who's been your MVP so far in the non-conference?
That's tough. It comes down to one of the dynamic duo, Zach Scott, Caleb Catto. I'm trying to think who is more like if I had to lose one, who would I rather keep? For me, I'm gonna have to say Caleb Catto.
Yeah, I hear you there. And we all know what Zach Scott can do, and it's unfortunate his shot hasn't been falling, because I think that in a more like ideal scenario, he's probably the one that would, have the more gaudy numbers, and he does actually lead the team in points per game. But I would agree that it's probably Catto out of those two. Again, just consistent. He's always around 10 points a game. He's always a few rebounds, a few assists, a few steals. His on-ball defense is really good.
He's a little bit more of a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
He can distribute. He can lead in other areas like that don't involve scoring.
He's at least good at everything.
Yeah.
At the very least, good at it. As far as not saying the same player, I would also say, just in like a pure, Iron Man statistical, sense, Rainwater. I mean, he's had his up and down moments, but especially with the injury to Brian Thomas, his whole first, non-conference schedule, it's been him being the guy 30 minutes a game about almost down low, playing against the opposing team's best player, always scoring around 10 points, always getting upwards of 10 rebounds. And it doesn't always look pretty, but he's not going to always look pretty. He's diving around on the floor, rolling around, getting all the loose balls, stuff like that.
So is it safe to say that those guys, Cato, Rainwater, their numbers are going to stay the same, if not elevate, in conference play?
I would hope that at least Cato's elevate. The other guy you're mentioning, Zach Scott, I think it's...
Well, I was talking about Rainwater too, but...
Yeah, I think definitely Zach Scott's numbers elevate. I think Cato's could stay the same, and it would still be just as good. We could have more success with him playing exactly how he's been playing, as long as other players around him kind of work on that.
In theory, especially being midway point in the season, you'd hope everyone's numbers elevate.
Right.
That seems to be the trend in all seasons.
A lot of players who play in non-conference play get significantly less minutes come conference play. And you can look to guys like Dakota Rivers, Quanzi Samuels, Jalen Harper. They might be getting a few less minutes a game, unless the scenario calls for something different. But the, to kind of answer your question, though, about who needs to step up, who is a candidate to step up, I think that's got to be Brian Thomas. And I think also, to go along with your follow-up question of numbers kind of elevating or staying the same or whatever, Justice Rainwater's numbers might decrease a little bit if Brian Thomas can play a full, slate of minutes in a game, 20-ish a game. Just, he doesn't have to play 40 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever, just 20-ish. And if he starts averaging, 6 to 10 points a game, starts getting upwards of 10 rebounds a game, then that's, there's only so many minutes in a game. If he plays 20 minutes as a 5, Rainwater's going to play 20 minutes at a 5. I can't imagine they're both going to be on the floor at the same time. But, if he's healthy, then I don't see why he, wouldn't be solid, at least with us elevating in the rebounding game. And I think that's so important for us going forward. That changes our team having a reliable couple of threats. Because imagine Rainwater off the bench. Like, he's explosive. If he's not tired, if he's rested.
Well, Rainwater and Rivers off the bench.
Right, yeah, exactly. We've seen that from Rivers. When Rainwater's playing, we're talking about water. We're just talking about a bunch of liquids right now. Anyways.
The tandem of Rainwater and River.
Yeah.
River Rainwater.
River Rainwater. Anyways, when Justice Rainwater is playing, a lot of minutes, and then we throw in Dakota, he always seems to score right away. Even if he only gets 4 points in the game, those 2 baskets typically come right when he's subbed in, because he's fresh, he's athletic, and he takes advantage of somebody who's been playing the whole game. And imagine if someone like Rainwater can do that if Brian Thomas is the workhorse down low. So I think that really, especially against smaller ASUN teams, Brian Thomas looks like a man out there. I know he's about the same height as, our other bigs, but he looks just beefier. He looks taller. He looks stronger. All of those things. And that, how
just
could that...
older, too.
Right. Just mature.
Speaking of maturity, the other I'd like to add to that is I think Jalen Warren needs to show a little bit more leadership going into conference play. And he has. But, as far as we're talking about who's going to improve, he needs to take that whatever call it,
right.
third step.
Yeah. I think our ideal lineup, too, is with him starting at the point. Unfortunately, when he's started, he hasn't necessarily had the best games. And I don't know if that's because he's starting and therefore game planned against, or if he's, at this point just better as a spark off the bench. But, as we said earlier, when he plays well, we win. And, it's so with him in the starting lineup, that would be ideal. That way, Zach Scott can play a more natural position of like a 2-guard. Caleb Cato can play the 3-guard. But when he's not in the game, Harper has been getting the start, but he's not playing that many minutes, like 10. So it's like, I don't really know.
But who started at the point for St. Thomas? I know it's a little bit different.
Harper. The last 2 games.
Okay.
But the first game, I believe he got 7 minutes.
Because I would almost argue that you could interchange Cato as the point and Warren as the 2/3, depend on the lineup.
Well, I do think that I liked the spark that a healthy Gagliardi, assuming health, kind of gave us, because he's actually very good on defense as an on-ball defender and just a defender in general, 3-and-D guy. And so I did like the lineup when it was Cato, Scott, and Gagliardi in his guards.
But almost Gagliardi is like perfect for off the bench too.
Yeah, exactly. You
because
kind of
you bring in fresh bigs that may not score as much, but then you got the firepower of Gagliardi.
Well, what I'll say is Gagliardi off the bench is great, especially if Zach Scott's shot is falling, because you want that 3-point threat.
Always there.
Yeah, you want that 3-point threat in your starting lineup, and Cato's a good shooter, a good 3-point shooter, but doesn't always show up in the stats. And Warren, he doesn't take many threes. When he takes them, he's decent at them, but it's not one of his best skills. So you definitely need a 3-point shooter in your starting lineup.
So yeah, that's looking at conference play at a glance and kind of what we think needs to change going into 2020 in the second half of the year. We got to stick through it, through thin or thin. Through thick or thin.
I know it's not looking good, but both thins, man, that's just bad or bad.
I still strongly think that we will turn the ship around in conference play.
Yeah, just a matter of when and how effectively.
On a much more positive note, how about the FGCU women's team?
Hell yeah.
Hail to the Eagles. They're killing it out there.
Tearing it up. 12-2 on the season.
Had a heartbreaking loss to LSU at home, but it was still a great game.
That was a fantastic game. That was like one of the most exciting games I've watched in a while.
Yeah, we couldn't make it in person, but we were yelling at it on our couch. And
I watched it on my phone, and then when I got home, I flipped it on the TV real quick.
Yeah, it was a tough one to lose, but still, I mean.
Well, going into the third quarter and a lot of the fourth quarter, they were winning or playing very competitive. The ladies were against LSU. And do you remember, I can't remember their names or their numbers on LSU, but they had 2 women who were like 6'5" apiece. I think it was number 24 and maybe number 5 or something like that. They were 6'5" and like hulking over our players. And somehow we're still getting the rebounds. We're still finding open shots, still working it down low. It didn't matter. Like, that's just how we do it. No players over 6 feet tall in years and still find a way to, play against 6'5" ladies. But, lost to Temple or to LSU, but we beat Temple yesterday by 26 points, sorry. And to get back in the win column. And, I mean, like clockwork, just look good, look fantastic against a good program. But
who's next on their agenda?
Oh, you want to know who's next?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I remember.
Duke.
The
Blue Devils.
Blue Devils.
ACC team coming into an A-Sun team's arena.
One of the biggest opponent, probably the biggest opponent to ever
step foot in
Alico Arena.
Right.
They'll be blessed to be here.
Yeah, they'll be glad. But yeah, so a strong Duke women's squad coming to Alico Arena the 29th, Sunday, 2 p.m. You can make it out to Alico Arena, watch the women. I definitely want to go. And later that night at like 10 p.m. or something is when the men's game starts, because it's on the West Coast, so California time. So you got plenty of time to come out, see the women, maybe do some tailgating. Get home, relax, flip on the men's game, and what a great basketball day.
What a great way to end 2019. As long as we both get W's.
Even if we don't both get W's.
W.
I just want to see 2 good games.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it here for the podcast. We had fun wrapping up kind of the non-conference season. We're excited for the USC game. Win, lose, or draw. We're excited to have Duke come to the nest. And we're looking forward to a strong 2020, hopefully.
Go Eagles. Happy holidays to you and yours. Bye.